Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am sharing with you my diary entry for the week of September 18th through the 24th. So today is Saturday, September 24th, and this week has just been, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten a lot accomplished, but I have been exhausted. So yeah, it's been kind of a strange week. But let me tell you what I've been reading, and then we'll get into some knitting and some TV show watching. And yeah, so as far as reading goes, I did read all of the Monochrome Manga Club selections this week. So we did Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Deserted Island, Getaway by Kokonasu Urumba, published by Viz Rated All Ages. We read volumes 5 and 6 of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba by Koyoharu Gotouge, published by Viz Rated Teen. We read, which was a reread, volume 1 of Solo Leveling by Chugong, published by Yan Press, rated older teen, and this is illustrated by Dubu. This was a reread for me. And then we also continued our series read of Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon by Naoko Takeuchi in the Eternal Edition, published by Kodansha rated teen. So, I have already talked about this one on my channel. I do have an extensive series first impressions video, which includes my thought on the first volume of the manhwa, the first volume of the light novel, and the audiobook. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that, you can check out my description box down below, and I will go ahead and link that first impressions video for you. I just finished filming the series first impressions video for the Monochrome Manga Club this month on this. So by the time you see this video, this first impressions video should already be up on my channel, so you can check that out. So I won't be talking about those, but I will be talking about Demon Slayer and Sailor Moon. So Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, I will be honest and say that it wasn't until after volume 6 that I was invested in this series. I am really enjoying what's happening right now and looking forward to the next volumes. It did take me a little bit. I do enjoy like the comedic things that are thrown in while they're doing like fight scenes. It really does help to like lift it up and then throw in a little bit of, entertainment factor. It's something that I enjoy while reading Bleach as well. My daughter and I are doing a read a watch along. Bleach has a lot of fight scenes that have comedic things thrown in. Naruto is the same way. And so, yeah, I am starting to really enjoy the series, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next. So really enjoying that, looking forward to the next couple volumes. And then we've got this, and I think you all know what I'm going to say about it, right? So I'm still not really enjoying the series, but we're kind of stuck. So I do enjoy the addition of all of the newer Sailor Scouts that we've been introduced to over the last couple volumes. The end of this volume starts a new arc. So at least this is kind of continued in the same pattern, where this is like 2 Eternal Editions are 1 arc. So the story is moving, but there are just some things that happen in here that, after reading volume 4, I think, and the things that happened there, makes me look at things that happened in here in a totally different way. And we were talking at the manga club as to why this series is so beloved, because it's highly problematic. There are lots of things where it's just like, that's not a good thing. And, we're talking about, I'm going to go ahead and say it, so I'm sorry if you find this spoilery, but there was that whole scene with Chibiusa where she gets aged up and they kind of like lose their minds, and she like feels like she has this romantic relationship with Mamoru, who is her dad. That's an incestuous situation. And there are things here. She's no longer aged up anymore. She's a little kid, as she is for most everything else that we see her in. But there are just certain things that after that has happened in the past, you always look at things where they're interacting together and it are like, you have that memory in your head and it colors everything else. I don't like that. And again, it just feels very repetitive. The same things kind of happen over and over and over again, where we've got Usagi and she is such an airhead and she's very insecure about her relationship with Mamoru. And then you have Mamoru and it's like, I don't understand what you see in Usagi. Like, the only scenes we see with him are when there's trouble or they're fighting against these people. I don't have a good basis as to why they're together. I don't understand it. And it makes no sense to me. Now, like I said, there's an age gap, and I think in the anime, the age gap is made to seem a lot larger than it is in the manga. But there's still an age gap. I mean, Mamoru is almost done with high school at this point. And we've got Usagi, who's almost done with intermediate school. Yeah, that's not a great situation either. Our new scouts here are in college. And even the way they treat the younger Sailor Scouts could be done better. And yeah, there's just... I have a lot of issues with this series. And I don't understand why it's so beloved. But I also have the same issue with Fruits Basket. And we were kind of talking at the manga club meeting about, you know, the fact that a lot of people like put blinders on, and because it might be like their favorite series, they're like blind to problematic elements of the series, or they conveniently forget. And for me, it's kind of like with both of these series, Fruits Basket and this one, I don't understand how you can forget it because it's such an integral part of the story. So, yeah. I don't know. I think that the enemies are starting to like blend together too. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand, and I'm not really enjoying it. So I did end up giving this one 3 stars again. I feel like it's going to be my lowest rated book of the month again, which is disappointing because I keep hoping that things will get better or there'll be something different. And at this point, every month I dread reading that volume, the volume of Sailor Moon that we have to read, because I'm just not having it. And if I was just reading it myself, I would have dropped it a long time ago. Like, I'm not even interested in watching the anime. I think I told you I dropped the anime after the first season when I was a teenager. And that's like the peak demographic for this series. And I just wasn't interested in it then. So, yeah. I gave Demon Slayer, I think I gave Volume 5 4 stars. And I gave Volume 6 5 stars. So, this was much better. I saved this to last. So, yeah. That is everything I have read this week. As far as what I am currently reading, I did start Five Nights at Freddy's, The Silver Eyes. This is by Scott Cawthon and Kira Breed Risley. I believe this is the first in one of the series. I don't remember which series it is, though, and it doesn't really say. But I know it is the first of one of the series. So I found this on audiobook through Hoopla, which is a subscription service that my library offers, and there's no wait list or anything, so I really love that. What I don't love about borrowing audiobooks from Hoopla is the fact that they don't offer chapter like markers. you basically get one big audio file and then a time marker for the whole thing. So it does make it hard to combination read a book, but I basically have just been making sure that I stop on a chapter. I haven't actually read from this book, so I've just listened. I've listened to 5 chapters. I'm on page 167. So far, it's pretty interesting. I will say that my concentration level has not been great this week. Like I said, it's kind of been a weird week. And, yeah, I kind of remember certain things happening here. But I know that when I was listening a couple times during my lunch break, my mind was wandering. So I may have to go back, but I don't think I do, because I do feel like for the gist of what this story is, I pretty much got it. Basically, we're following one character. She's come back to her hometown, as well as several of the other kids she used to go to school with. They are still in high school, but they moved away after a certain incident where somebody else they knew had died. And our main character's dad used to invent these animatronic creatures, and there used to be this pizza parlor place, kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. That's kind of the gist that I'm getting. But something happened to which that place had shut down, a kid had died, and then all of these families took their kids and moved away. And so they've all come back for an anniversary or something of the kid's death, and they have decided to check out the old site of I think it's called Freddy's, the place, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and they have started to notice weird things happening, and our main character is starting to get these flashbacks of her father making these animatronics, and maybe some of them are able to move on their own. So yeah, I'm finding it interesting. I think if I were of the demographic this is aimed towards, I would be more scared than I am. But I am finding it very entertaining. Like I said, I do enjoy watching people play this game. Definitely not a game that I would play, but the lore of the whole franchise is interesting to me. So I'm really looking forward to getting more of this listened to this week. I don't think that I will be reading because I do still have books that I need to read for the rest of the month, so that I don't have to pull a punishment for my TBR game, which I did film today just a little bit earlier. So you will find out before people who watch my TBR game that I am 100 pages into My Happy Marriage, which was on my TBR game for September. This is for my light novel. I am really, really enjoying this. So this is a Cinderella retelling with a paranormal twist. And I am really, really enjoying it. So I've only been reading for 2 nights, and I'm already 100 pages in. I am finding myself making myself have to stop, because there was one night where I was just up until 4:30. I'm like, okay, just another chapter, which is probably why I'm so exhausted. But yes, really, really enjoying that. So I was also supposed to read something paranormal this month, and I said I was going to read Strike the Blood, The Right Arm of the Saint, which is also another light novel. So you can see it is a text, but because My Happy Marriage has a paranormal aspect to it, I'm going to go ahead and read volume 2. So this is also a light novel, and so yes, I think with how much I'm enjoying this series right now, it should not be a problem for me to get through this before the end of the month. So I want to do that. So that's going to be my nighttime reading, and then I also need to read this. So this is Haikyuu Volume 34, which it'll only take me one evening, so I don't foresee that I'm going to have a problem with this at all. So I do need to get all of that done before the end of the month. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about my reading, where it's at right now, even though I'm like kind of stress reading because I wasn't sure that I was going to make it to the end of the month. Another thing that happened this week is that I was looking for a book. So I had mentioned to you last week that I had found a particular book on my shelf and I was like, I'm going to read it this month. Well, I don't know what I did with that book. I tore my house apart. I cannot find it. I don't know what I did with it. Maybe the entities that live in my house are saying, no, you've got other things to read, and hid it. I don't know, but I cannot find it. And so that night I was up till 4:30 in the morning as well. And both nights were work days. So yeah, that's probably why I'm so exhausted. But that was also very frustrating. So because I can't find it right now, I did go on to Thrift Books and see if I could find another copy, because it is an out of print book and it is not available to purchase via ebook. They just don't do it. So I purchased myself another copy. So if I find the copy that I had, great, I'll have 2 copies. If not, great, I still have 1 copy. But I really, really wanted to read that book. But I can't because I can't find it. So yeah, that was really frustrating. So my birthday was on Monday and it was a work day. I didn't take the day off. Just because I still felt like I needed to catch up with work, being that I had that big IT issue that held up my getting caught up when I got back from vacation. My coworkers forgot. I've worked with them for almost 20 years, and they forgot. My dad didn't forget, though. He forgot last year. But he didn't forget. I got a text from his wife the minute I started working, and then he texted a couple hours later. I got to talk to my brother, which was nice, and my nieces. And my good friend from Hawaii also forgot. So my coworkers and my good friend also forgot, but thank you so much to all of you who wished me a happy birthday, because I really, really appreciate it. It did make me feel remembered and very good that day. So I do appreciate you and thank you so much. But also that day, my friend Amy from A-Star Reads, she had told me that she had sent 2 books. And I think I mentioned to you last week when she had given me the Christmas Carol and Other Stories by Charles Dickens, that there was another one coming. It arrived on my birthday. So that was awesome. And what arrived was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is the first book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, I believe. This has been a series that I have been really, really interested in recently. I put it on my wish list a while back. And I don't know, there's just been something about this series that's calling my name. And so I am really looking forward to getting into this. If I can manage to squeeze it into my TBR in October, I'm definitely doing so, because I think this is just going to be the perfect thing. And I'm always up for a murder mystery. You know that. So thank you so much, Amy. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, that was my birthday. Work has been weird. But I do finally feel like at the end of the week, I feel caught up and that I'm like moving forward now instead of trying to catch up. So that's a good feeling. So that's pretty much everything as far as my reading goes. I do have some knitting to share with you. So I actually have my bag on the floor here. So hold on a second. So I'm still housing it in my Stitching the High Notes bag. This is my ghosty sweater. So I have not gotten as much done as I would have liked, but I've gotten quite a bit done, and it's a lot more knitting than I have done in a very, very long time. So when I showed it to you last, it was here, right here. So I have done this much. So you can see that it is a ghosty sweater. This is actually the back because there are the short rows back here. But if I turn it around to the front, it doesn't lay real nice because I've got so many stitches now. I've actually still got to do one more increase before the sleeve separation. But if I can get this flattened so that you can see, there we go. That looks better. So it is a super cute ghosty sweater. Right now the ghost just has the beginnings of its tail right here, and so I do still have quite a bit to go on the color work, but I think it's coming out really good. So I did make a change, or one change. So I did mention that I thought that the color here is a little hard to see, and it is, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it because I do like those colors together. I think it looks really nice. In like not the light, it is much harder to see, but you know, I know it's there. So that's all that matters, right? Right. So I'm just going to leave it. But I did decide to not double strand the polyester yarn. So this is the Gertz Glow House yarn. It's glow in the dark yarn, and it's 100% polyester. This has no stretch whatsoever. So I was a bit concerned about that with the fact that I'm having a colorwork yoke. So I decided to hold it double with Cascade Heritage Snow. I believe that's what this color is. This is a superwash sock yarn, 75-25, I believe. So there is a difference in the color. I don't know, can you see that on camera? The Cascade Heritage is a little bit more creamy than the Gertz Glow House yarn, but I thought that would be okay. I mean, it does look pretty white. I mean, I'm not really picking up a yellowy tone on the ghosty, but even if I did, it's okay. Cream ghosts are fine. But I am pretty happy with this right now. I have used every single color now that I plan to use for my sweater. I have a very floppy skein of the Lion Brand Superwash Merino in the charcoal colorway. So I expect that I will be putting in a new skein probably by the time I separate for the sleeves. I just used a little bit of the ice, and you can see there's some yarn barf right there. I will be using a little bit more of this before separating for the sleeves as well. And this is the Sage colorway, and I will be doing another section in this as well before the sleeve separation. But so far, so good. I am really, really enjoying this project. It is a bit of a concentration thing, though. I told you my concentration kind of hasn't been there this week. And to that point, I did have to undo a couple rows back because I messed up. I didn't count my stitches, and my pattern repeat was off all the way to the beginning of that round. So I didn't pull out my needles and rip back. I just undid each singular stitch back because I thought it would be too difficult with the color work. So yeah, that's the only thing that was really like upsetting, but it was fixable. And so I'm pretty happy with how this is looking right now. Plus it feels really nice and squishy, and I'm much happier with how these ghosties feel because there isn't so much of that hardness from the polyester yarn. I thought if I'd have the polyester yarn, there would be a definite change in the feel. And I'm much happier with this. It does feel similar to the rest of the yarn that I'm using. One thing that I probably should have done, though, because I'm holding this yarn double and this is just a plain DK, is that I should have switched which hands I use for the color work. So I do two-handed color work. I hold one color in my right hand and I hold one color in my left, and I do a combination of English and continental knitting when doing color work. What I should have done was hold the white yarn in my right and done the English style knitting with that color, and held the gray color in my left and did continental knitting in that color, because that would have made the ghosts a little bit more like flatter, and it would help bring out the gray parts. Right now, the ghosts are sticking out a little bit. They're a bit puffier. And I know some of that is going to get fixed in blocking, but it would have been better if I had held it the other way. But, you know, I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter to me. I'm still going to really enjoy wearing this sweater or sweater shirt because this will not have long sleeves, because otherwise I'll never be able to wear it. But yes, I thought that since this is going to have short sleeves, maybe I can get some, like, I don't know, like nylon sleeves or something in case it does get cold, just to cover up a little bit, and that would help. Or like I could always wear a long sleeve shirt underneath to help keep my arms warm. But like I said, it normally doesn't get cool here until after Thanksgiving. So yes, so far so good. That is what I've been knitting on. I know the Bakery Bearers are doing a patron only Halloween sock knit along. It's called Sockoween for the whole month of October, and I have 2 pairs of what I would consider Halloween socks on the needles, but I think they have to be new cast on, so I do need to work on that as well. I'm just really infatuated with this ghosty sweater right now, and I think I just need to go with what is calling to me. That is just what I need to do, because this is the most knitting that I've done in a really, really long time, and I just want to keep that momentum. I don't want to lose that momentum, because I do really miss knitting, and, you know, having the finished item and being able to say, look, this is what I've created, and, you know, having that satisfaction of creating something that I know that I will be using. I'll be able to wear it. It'll be something useful. So yeah, I do really recommend Megan's patterns. Megan Reagan from the Bad Wolf Girl Studios podcast. She does a lot of those colorwork yoke patterns. She has a lot of different ones available, and her like pattern instructions are really, really easy for me to understand, and the charts are easy to understand as well. And so yeah, this is my second sweater that I've worked up or am working up from her patterns. I own several of them, hence I have other plans to do colorwork sweaters for the rest of the year that I really need to get on. And they're sweaters that I've really wanted for a long time. Some of these patterns I've had in my library for years. So I'm glad I'm finally getting to more of them. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying the process. I've been watching a lot more TV, though, because of it. So it's a really good project for me to like watch the true crime documentaries or the American TV shows, because I can just really listen and not really have to look at the TV, and I'm able to concentrate a little bit better on the pattern. So all of our American TV shows came back, but the only thing that we've watched has been the NCIS Hawaii new season and the FBIs. I think that's what Paramount Plus is calling them, the FBIs. So we watched that. We watched Vampire Academy. I am very confused. I read Vampire Academy, the very first book in that series, but I never continued through the rest of them. And what I know happened in book 1 barely made it into the first 4 episodes of that season. So I think by now I've watched 5 episodes. And it's making me really want to read that series. So I do have, again, a spoiler for my TBR game. I do have the second book in the series on my plate for the month. So hopefully I'll be able to get to that. But yeah, I'm enjoying the Vampire Academy series, but I do have to say that I believe Vampire Academy is like a older teen series of books. But the show, I wouldn't say it's older teen. There are a lot of sex scenes in that series. There is full topless nudity of a woman in episode 1 or 2. And there have been at least 5 sex scenes, I believe, where there's like motion. And take that as you will. But yeah, I don't understand this whole trend about taking a series, and because it's on a streaming service, they feel like they should put in these sexual content. I mean, the story from the book, from what I've read, is good as it is. But had my daughter been interested in this series and she had read it and she was a teen, I probably would not have let her watch this TV show. Which is unfortunate, because how do you tell somebody you can't watch the show because it's not age appropriate for you when the material they read is? I don't know. I've just always had this problem with when shows get moved to a streaming service or show up on a streaming service and then they suddenly get all sexual. Like, why? They did that with Designated Survivor. I ended up dropping that when it moved to Netflix. They did that with SEAL Team. I dropped that when it moved to Paramount Plus. And there's another show that moved to Paramount Plus. And I can't even think about it right now because the first season was interesting, but we dropped the second season like after 3 episodes or so. Again, sexual content. Why? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below if added sexual content makes you want to watch something. I mean, it doesn't for me. I'm not interested in watching that. I'm hardly ever interested in reading that. I mean, I do every once in a while. When it's appropriate in a story, I get it. I don't have no complaints. But when you're taking something from a book that, as far as I know, has no sexual content in it, there's maybe some heavy petting in the first book, I don't understand the reason why you have to take it to that place, you know? I don't understand. But that's my only complaint about the series. The rest of what I've seen of Vampire Academy is really, really interesting. I am really enjoying everything else. To the point where it's making me want to read the books. So that's a good thing, right? I just don't enjoy the sex scenes. Why do they have to be there? So, yeah. I think I forgot to mention to you that we finished watching A League of Their Own on Amazon Prime. I enjoyed it, but I don't think they should have called that A League of Their Own. Or if they were going to keep the name, they should have switched the team that they were focusing on, because the story in the series is very different from the movie if you've ever watched the movie. I love the movie. I enjoyed the story that they presented in the Amazon Prime series, but it's not a league of their own to me. I mean, I get how that title not only works for the fact that it's a women's baseball team, but in other ways, as far as the season goes. But I just wish they would have used one of the different teams. I mean, there are so many teams to choose from. It didn't have to be the Peaches. And I think that was the one letdown for me, is that I thought we were going to have a series that was an adaptation, maybe a little bit different, of the old movie. And it's completely different. It's completely different. Enjoyable, but not an adaptation of the movie. Like I said, I wish they would have changed the team that they focused on, because I wouldn't feel like this if they had just changed the team. I still really enjoyed the story, but it's not what we were presented in the movie of the Rockford Peaches. I have to completely look at it as a different story. So, yeah. That's my only complaint. Other than that, I do recommend it. It was really, really good. There were some very sad moments. And a lot of the actors that they picked up for that show do remind you of the actors that they had used in the movie. So it's like, oh, that's Betty Spaghetti, or that's Madonna's character, or Rosie O'Donnell's character. In fact, Rosie O'Donnell does make a guest appearance, which I thought was excellent. I really enjoyed seeing Rosie O'Donnell make a cameo appearance. So, yeah, watch that. We're watching The Rings of Power. I'm enjoying that as well. I think I've told you before, I much enjoy the TV shows, movies on the Lord of the Rings universe. I don't enjoy reading those books. So I'm really enjoying The Rings of Power. We've continued watching Bodies in the Backyard, still enjoying that. And yeah, all of the other TV shows are back now. So we've got a lot to catch up on. Plus, there's some anime that we want to rewatch before the new season start in October. So it's kind of like the end of the month crunch. So lots of things that need to be done by the end of the month. But I'm feeling pretty good about where I am with my reading, with my knitting, and things like that. So yeah, we're getting into spook season. I'm feeling very motivated with 2 readathons that I want to participate in October. And I think that's all I can ask for, besides cooler temperatures, which we are back in the mid-90s for the next week and a half or so. I think the highest it's going to get is mid-hundreds, and then it'll start going back down. But we've got scorching temps for the next week and a half or so. So, yeah, not too happy about that, but it is what it is. And, I'll take where I am with my reading and my knitting as a more positive, thought. Because, I haven't really been feeling great about either of them for most of this year. And I don't know if it's just with the holidays coming up or, the festivities and things like that. I'm feeling pretty good right now. So that is a welcome change, and that's pretty much everything I've got to talk to you about this week. So let me know down in the comments below if you have had a hit or a fail in your reading this week. If you've read anything interesting or watched anything interesting, I'd really love to know. If nothing else, you would just like to let me know that you were here. If you could leave me some kind of Halloween-themed emoji, whether that be a jack-o'-lantern or a ghosty, I would really appreciate it, and it would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.